Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to the Live Fearlessly vlog series today. Super excited to have my guest here with me today. And of course, we're going to dive in and hear more about her story around a significant time in her life when fear held her back from living her life fully, and how that life experience has really shaped the leader that she is today. And Lenore, you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about you? Where are you located, and a little insight on who you are?
I'm located in a little town called Locust Grove, Georgia. I'm about 30 minutes south of Atlanta. I've lived here since '93. I'm originally from Kentucky, but like I said, this has been my home since '93. So,
Yeah.
a little about myself. I'll start from way back, but I won't take forever. Um, I I came from a background that was filled with a lot of abuse, mental, physical, emotional, sexual, just a really tough childhood and a life, because my childhood kind of formed my thoughts and my processes. So as I got older, I chose those same kind of relationships and put myself in those same kinds of positions. But through healing and self-love, I've learned to move forward. And now I've got a life of just, it's amazing, so much peace, so much freedom. And so now I've decided to take what has happened in my life and use that to help other women so they know they're not alone.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this connection. And um, who,
Thank you
who?
so much. And let me say this real quick. I'm honored to be here and
Yes,
thank you for having me.
absolutely. I don't even know if I said that. Thank you for being here today. This is so exciting. Um, and who connected us? We had a mutual friend that said we needed to meet. Who was that?
Her name is Erin Miller. I'm in a group with her called Funnel Boss Academy, and she and I have become accountability partners with each other.
Erin.
And as we were talking, she's like, "Man, you need to connect with Rebecca." She said, "I think
Yes.
you and her would just really do well together." So,
Hey, shout out to Erin. You're amazing.
yay,
This is a
Erin,
great
thank
connection
you.
already. Super excited. So
Yeah.
you're in Kentucky, or no, you were in Kentucky,
Yes.
93. Now you've been in Georgia. Got it.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So, and I love to start everything out with a celebration. So what can we celebrate with you today? What's good in your world right now? What do you want to shout out to the universe that it's good?
Oh my gosh, there's just so many things. But one
Yeah.
thing is that I'm now my passion that I have for women. I've kind of been working in the background for 2 years and have been operating out of fear and depression and different things that just wouldn't allow me, or I didn't allow to let myself get past to get me to that point. So now I am at this point. Like I said, I've got a lot of different things going on. I've got my Soul Sister Self Love Revolution group that is just amazing. A lot of wonderful women in there, and we share and we connect. I'm
Is that
also
is that a Facebook group?
Facebook group. It's called Soul Sister Self Love Revolution.
And
And
is that a free group to join?
yep, it's a free group to join, and it's a place, it's a safe place, it's a private group where us women can come together and share some of our secrets. We can remove the mask, we can just be real and genuine, because a lot of people don't understand you're only as sick as your sickest secrets. So we have to bring forth those secrets, we have to reveal them, we have to work through them in order to get to the next level. And that's what we do in this group. Like I said, it's very private. A lot of friendships are formed. It's a place where I just post a lot of helpful information. I share my story, just a place to motivate and encourage women.
That's amazing. I love it. So
I'm
thank you
so
for sharing
excited.
that.
I love it.
Yeah, go anyone that is watching resonates with that message, please find the group on Facebook and join in the community.
I'll give you the
And
link for that later too, that you can post it.
awesome. Yeah, you guys can find the link right below then. So let's go there. Let's talk about fear, because now I'm excited to hear more about your story, right? Like I want to know what how this life experience that we're about to hear more about, like how this has transpired into being like who you are today. And I want to just give you a shout out, because I know that it's not easy to like want to come on and be vulnerable and share and do, be seen, really be seen, and authentically being ourselves and the experiences that we have had. Um, that's a vulnerable thing. So I want to just like honor the fact that we're here right now and that you're sharing. So thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here today.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So, okay, so let's do it. Let's get into it. So take us back to that time when you had the fear, right? Like when you were held back during that time, whatever you go to in your mind, whatever you want to talk through with that moment, right? Because we all have fears. This is something that I talk about a lot. Fear is always there with us. I look at fear as my best friend. It's always there for me or there to push me, that kind of thing. So I look at fear in a positive way very differently than a lot of people because I know it's here every single day, and I've learned to figure out how to get through it with mindset work. So talk about the time in your life when the fear held you back, and a little bit more about the details of that.
Okay. Well, most of my life, fear held me back. And I guess about 15 years ago, I had just had enough. I had struggled and struggled, and I didn't know the answers. I just didn't know what to do. I had no support from family, and I was in a religion that was very cultish, like, even, and
Okay.
we were taught to believe that God just did everything for you. We had no mind, we had no will, we have, you just, God will take care of it all. And I tried that for years and years. And then about 15 years ago, I had just had enough, and I had decided I was going to kill myself. I'm just through. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of trying. I'm tired of struggling. It's like I can never be good enough. So I bought a 12-pack of beer and a bottle of sleeping pills, and I went to a hotel room, and I crawled up in the middle of the bed, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm tired. And I'm sitting there with all the beer and the pills around me, and I'm just still really, truly, honestly, deep down, not wanting to do it, but I just didn't have another answer. I just didn't have any hope. So I was sitting there in the middle of the bed and just meditating and praying. And next thing I know, there's a knock on the hotel door. And I was like, that's weird. Nobody knows I'm here. So, of course, out of curiosity, I answered it. And there were a couple policemen there. And they said, ma'am, we've heard that you're suicidal. And I was like, no, I'm not. No. And he's like, well, ma'am, someone told us that you were. And I said, I'm not. I don't know who told you that. So they talked to me for a couple minutes and said, are you okay? Are you all right? And I lied. And I said, sure, I'm fine. I'm fine. So they finally left. And, before they left, they said, if you need us, call us. So I finished with them, and I went back and I sat in the middle of the bed, opened a beer, poured some sleeping pills in my hand, and just sat there for a minute contemplating. Then I thought, wait a minute, that's really odd. Nobody knew that I was in the hotel room. Nobody knew I was going there. Not my daughter, not my family, no one. And in that moment, God, spirit, intuition, whatever you want to call it, there was an awakening that happened in me that said, this is not the answer. I didn't get the answer at that moment, but I knew that was not the answer. So I left the hotel room. I went back home. There was a situation there that was not very good. I started selling all of my personal belongings, and except for a few keepsakes, had to leave the place I was living in because somebody I was living with was, while I was trying to get away, and I didn't know how else to do it. And I went to a women's shelter and asked them, if I could stay there. And they had a 30-day program. You only had 30 days to get your act together and get out. So I followed all the guidelines. I found me a job that was close by. I saved every bit of money I had. I was living in a mobile home, and I sold it for $5,000 just to get out from under it and be gone. I put that $5,000 in savings, worked for the 30 days, ended up with enough to put down on a little used car, and I bought that. And then I ended up finding like a little mother-in-law's quarters, which is where I'm at now. And this is my little haven here. But I
That's
just
so
made
cool.
it.
So it's like
It's all beach, all beachy, and it's very calm. I call it my little cottage. Everything is beachy, and it's just decorated beautifully. And this has become my refuge. And so during that time, I was still struggling a lot with my feelings and my emotions. But I had been through enough to know now that I could change it, that I could make things better. So I really just began going through, I found a program called Trauma Recovery Therapy, which was a lifesaver for me. When I got out of the trauma recovery therapy, I went about 6 years of that. Then I still continued with my counseling just because I felt like I needed that further help. And then through all of that, I just started learning about self-love, setting boundaries, making myself a priority, and just on my own, because I didn't have that support, I just started implementing these things in my life. And each thing that I implemented, my life became easier and it became more peaceful. Then came the time that I had to start setting boundaries. And then I ended up having to go through all that mess because I lost a lot of people, family members, best friends, different people, because when you stop allowing people to treat you however they want, a lot of times they leave because they're not willing to do what it takes. And so then I ended up having to go through all of that grieving and all that process of losing siblings and not being in my life, my mother not being in my life, my best friends not being in my life. And I'm like, good God, what else is going to happen here? You know? Wow. But even in that time, through the devastation, I learned that these were the correct steps that I needed to take. And I had to do what I had to take for my peace of mind. So that's what I did.
Yeah. Wow. So I feel like I'm getting some feedback from my microphone. I don't know if you can hear it on your end.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
We're just gonna roll with it.
Okay.
So with okay, a couple things. I'm like writing notes as I'm going. So did you ever find out who called the cops? They never told you a name.
To this day.
I'm still like in awe, like, wait, what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
The hair on my neck stood up when you said that. I was like, wait, she knows, right? She has to know. So you still don't know who, what, how they ended up at that door when they did for you.
Still to this day, don't know. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's wild.
But then I knew all that I had been through. I didn't go through what I went through just to go what I went through. Right. I knew that I had a message. I knew that I had a gift. I did not know how I was going to get there. And that in itself has also been a struggle, many obstacles to overcome. But I just knew that I had to take my life experiences and I had to get those out there to help other women so that they didn't have to go through it alone like I did. And so that's what I do. I don't ever want a woman to feel like the situation that she's in, that she feels trapped and that she feels alone and there's nobody there for her. So that's why I do what I do.
Yes. That's exactly how this video podcast series came about. I'm all about helping people be seen, be heard, and know that who we are matters, and that the way that we contribute to our world is significant, and we all have a purpose. And so I'm just like in awe. I love this so much. And you shared a lot of great nuggets, right? You gave resources that helped you in those moments, right? This was a very abusive relationship. You needed out. You had to cut ties with people that meant a lot to you. Your family, like it's not just friendships we're talking about. We're talking about family.
And a 38-year friendship and a 9-year friendship.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you have to be brave. You have to be courageous. You have to be willing to step out into the unknown to know what you're made of. Like that is just just a fact. And so.
And I love this real quick. I don't know if you've heard of this before. Healing isn't easy, but it's beautiful on the other side. So many people think, and they see you doing it and think, oh, well, gosh, no, it's not easy. And that's what I tell the women I work with. I want them to know up front. I want to be straightforward and honest. To get where I've got, it ain't easy, It is not easy. You have to do the work. You have to do the processes. You have to do the steps. And you have to be willing to lose people along the way. But if you can get there, like I said, it's not easy, but it's beautiful on the other side.
Right. And with you saying do the work, like here's a couple other nuggets that I took from your story is, setting boundaries. People, this is one of the tips she gave you in her story. I want to just unpack what we're learning here. She's talking about setting boundaries. This was a huge thing in these relationships that were currently in her circle of how she lived her life. It's important to know that we have to set those boundaries with especially people that are closest to us So setting boundaries, and then the other one was implementing a routine and supporting healthier things into your life. That's a huge one. Those are the two huge things that I took from your story, like that anyone can take right now and like take an action on. Set some stronger boundaries around the shit that's not working for you right now, and make a routine that you can implement to keep moving forward. Did I get that right?
Yeah, and yeah, with the boundaries, that's very important. And I'm finding out what I'm doing. A lot of women don't really understand boundaries. They don't really know what that means. And actually, when I look back, I didn't either. I mean, I kind of knew, but I didn't really know, and how important the boundaries were, and not only setting the boundaries and implementing them, but you have to enforce them, you know? So I was setting boundaries and then I wouldn't enforce it. And then what happens, it ends up getting worse, you know? Then when you set the boundaries, if you don't stand behind those, then it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Well, it's like a double whammy of like, I set this and we know that, but then that's how the reverse self-love happens, right? That's how we get in that sucky place, because we're like, well, we can't do anything right because we didn't follow through with what we said, which is something that I actually talk about with fear relation, is that fear shows up and it holds us accountable to the things that we say we want. Well, do you really? Then you have to show up. And like you're talking about sharing your story, you're like, you knew that was something that you had a message to share. Well, she's with you right now sharing the story, quite literally stepping out in that. And are you afraid at all? Do you have any fear about this right now?
Oh, sure. Sure. We have to work through the fear. And another saying that I heard is the thing that's the most important for our soul's evolution is the thing that we resist the most. So we have to pay attention to the resisting, because if you're resisting something over and over and over, then it's usually very important to your soul's evolution. And I kept resisting this in relationships. I kept resisting setting the boundaries because the fear of being rejected, being abandoned, not feeling loved, not being able to be a part of my family anymore, not being with that friend that I've been with for 38 years, you know. But at the end of the day, I knew that those boundaries had to be set, and I had to work through the fear, okay? We get in our comfort zones, and that's where we want to be at. You cannot progress and you cannot grow if you stay in your comfort zone. So people don't realize it, but a lot of stuff I'm doing every day I'm fearful of, because one, I have a sales background, okay? But this is the first time I've had to sell myself. It's not easy because I'm being intimate. I'm sharing stories about my life, which have upset a lot of other people as well. But I had to make the decision, am I going to live my life for me? And am I going to live a life that's going to help change others? Or am I going to live this life that's depressed and I'm held back by other people's thoughts and other people's opinions, and whether they're going to be in my life or not? And once you can get past that, it's one of the most freeing things ever. I just don't care anymore what everybody else thinks.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Seriously, I'm sending Erin a thank you card. This is so great. So what I hear is, right, like going back to being vulnerable. This is a huge part of fear, you guys. Like me as the host of this show, like literally I get butterflies every single time. This is like episode 76, I think. And every single time I'm like, ooh, I get so excited. And I say I'm excited. However, you would probably say that is, I'm nervous, I'm scared. I call that excitement every single time. Every time I feel that flutter, I feel that like, ooh, do I? Yes, I do. And before I can say, do I say yes, and I'm excited. So just a little tip in there, but
awesome.
Yeah, I love this. So what, I love talking about the future. So like, I always think like 5 years ahead. And I specifically am a visual person, but I love to hear people's like visionary thoughts about where they're going in their life and keeping focused on the future. So where do you see yourself 5 years from today in getting out and sharing your message and your story?
One is I'm writing a book about my life. There are a lot of women out there that have been through a lot of the same things that I have been through.
Yeah.
And so I'm writing a book about my life that I'm going to share. I'm also creating core programs that I'm putting out for women that they can join in. And I am a licensed life coach and certified life coach and a motivational speaker. So the main thing that I want to do is use as many avenues as possible to get the word out to as many women as possible, because it is rampant. You would not believe in my everyday how many women I talk to that have been raped or been molested or have been beaten or are still in relationships where they just feel so alone and they just don't see a way out. So
Yeah.
what I'm doing with my message and my story is I'm being a beacon of light, and I'm letting them and showing them there is a way out. If I can do it, you can do it. You just have to do the work. But the thing about doing the work is, and again, I still recommend counseling, but the thing about counseling is it's not really like a hold handing. So what I'm trying to create is where I'm not just giving women advice, just what they need to do. I'm going to be holding their hand. I will have one-on-one counseling and coaching. And when I do these groups, we'll have a specific group on Facebook for these women that have signed up for this program. We're in there holding each other's hands, holding each other accountable, and we're helping each other through the healing process. That's where the power is at.
Nice. Yes. Human connection, right? Like that really, that one-to-one is so powerful, which is why people pay top dollar for coaching services, right? Like when we want someone's time and their experience, like this is a huge thing that I know that it took me a while to wrap my head around that. And then now I'm a mindset coach, and like I fully understand the value that we give to people when we show up and pour into what they're going through and their experiences paired with what we have already been through. So I
Right.
love that so much. That's so cool. And
Being
and all the
authentic and
oh
being
yeah.
authentic with them, not just coming out there and putting a story out there just to put a story out there. If I tell a story, I want it to be something that's going to trigger somebody else into seeing and understanding that the relationship that they're in or wherever they're at in their life is not healthy. And I want it to motivate them to want change.
Yes. Yes, I love this. So, and I love that you mentioned, wanting to spread it all out. So your book is in process still right now, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Where is the best place that the viewers can connect with you?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Where is the best place that the viewers can connect with you?
On the Soul Sister Self-Love Revolution group.
Okay, sounds good. So Facebook at her group is the best place to connect with her. So as we're rounding up here, what advice or last message would you give to the viewers? I know we just scratched the surface on anything with fear and the things that you have already grown through in your life, and you guys will have to get the book for sure, if not continue to connect with Lenore. But go ahead and tell us, what would you like to leave the viewers with about fear and growing through those things that we do, and especially anyone with the abuse and the things that you've went through that you can give them?
Well, so many people fight fear, and that's where, drug alcoholism comes in, and alcoholism and drug addiction and food addiction, sexual addictions, all of these things come in. These are crutches that we use to numb the pain. Okay. Fear is part of life. You're not going to get rid of fear. It's just there. What you have to do is learn how to navigate through the fear. You have to learn to navigate. And like I said, one of the most important things to me is setting boundaries, because as long as all of these toxic people are in your life and they're feeding into your life, and they're speaking into your ear, I describe it as a wound. If you have a wound on your arm or your hand and you continually pick it and it scabs up and you keep picking it keeps bleeding and bleeding, then it ends up leaving a big scar. And that's how we do. We have to separate ourselves from that pain, from that whatever's going on in order to heal. You cannot stay in the midst of abuse and expect to heal. There's just no way. And I'm not advocating divorce or just totally pushing people out of your life in the beginning. I'm talking about separating in the beginning to give yourself time to heal, and then go back and revisit and see where you're at that time. I also have created a core program. It's called the Empower Life. That's going to be, I'm going to have a 5-day challenge from September the 14th through September the 18th. It'll be at 11 a.m. It will be in the Soul Sister Self-Love Revolution group. And I'll also share a link how they can opt into this 5-day challenge. And it's going to be all about boundaries. It's going to help women who feel that they don't have a voice in the relationships, women that feel stuck and unfulfilled. And what I want to do with this is help women to fall in love with themselves. And they're going to discover life-changing keys to healthy relationships and how to set and implement and enforce those healthy boundaries. We're going to, during this 5-day challenge, we're going to pick a relationship they're having difficulties with, and I will hold their hand and I will help them set this boundary and implement this boundary. And then through all of these setting these boundaries during this 5-day, it's going to lead them to better communication, more respect from others, and they'll also have more meaningful relationships, not only with others, but with themselves. So, and there's so many ways out there, but the best is for them just to go ahead and jump into the group, because I'll share all the other information with them there. And again, I'll share the link how to get into the 5-day challenge.
I love it. Lenora Scurry. Did I say it right?
Yes, you got it
Perfect.
right.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. So guys, go jump in the group, get on her challenge, and let us know your biggest takeaway from this conversation. We would love to hear from you, love to connect with you. Everyone that is watching, love yourself, live fearlessly. Lenora, thank you so much for your time and for coming on and scratching the surface with us a little bit more on the topic of fear. And just totally grateful for you coming, sharing with the Live Fearlessly vlog. Thank you.
Well, and I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Have a great day, everyone.